Electronics don't need to be pumped. An international team of astronomers say they have glimpsed the earliest galaxy yet. A smudge of light from nearly 13.2 billion years ago, a time when the cosmos was a far lonelier place. The research hasn't been confirmed, and some astronomers are skeptical. The new findings are based on an image from the Hubble Space Telescope and are published in today's issue of the Journal of Nature. The scientists calculate that the new found galaxy dates to just 480 million years after the Big Bang. That would trump last fall's announcement by a French team who said they found a galaxy from about 600 million years after the Big Bang. Man is in a difficult stage today. We're in a time when you are able to broadcast around the world as this broadcast is going now. Whenever you see the revolution that is going on in the Middle East, and understand that it all started by one 26-year-old that doused himself in gasoline, set himself on a fire, and said, "I have had enough." He was selling fruit, making $10 a day, when the government came and confiscated his scales. And he said, "I have had enough." And he and his friend went to the president's home, and out in the street, he burned himself. 3 days later, he died, and he became a martyr. And they found out that somehow or another, the revolution was not able to be suppressed by a dictator nor army. But two of Google's executives in the Middle East led the demonstrations in the streets of Cairo and the other countries that are now in a state of upheaval. The United States is not going to escape from it, because James says that in the last days the poor are going to rise up and demand that the corrupt financial system give them their due. My Bible said it'll be shouted from the rooftops. Now, how do we separate fact from fantasy? When I read you this little clip from the Hubble spacecraft, many people that own Bibles and own books and have an education will say that that's fiction. But how are you going to deny a Hubble telescope going out into the outer spaces, outer regions, and come back and tell us that they are able to come within 400 million years of the Big Bang Theory? The big noise that started, and they said that they will be able at one point in time to go back and capture the Big Bang itself. Now, I've got some good church friends that said that's a lot of poppycock. That's absolutely untrue, that man is only 6,000 years old. And they can prove it because they can go back into the scripture and go through the genealogies and find out the moment, the precise moment that Adam was created in the garden, and how God took the rib out of Eve and the human family started. Well, archaeologists have proven that we all started from a couple in the Mesopotamian valley, built by the tower of, close to where the Tower of Babel was constructed. Sally's nephew, whenever he was fighting over in Desert Storm, he brought me back a brick that came from the Tower of Babel. And Some people say, well, that is all fantasy. That's in the Bible. No, it's the stones crying out. Archaeologists exhuming the stones and the things of the past to allow us to know that what we are looking at is the truth. How do we separate science? How do we separate fact from fiction? There's a fictitious rumor going that somehow or another the world is going to come to an end in April. Another one that next year, either September the 12th or December the 21st of 2012, that the Mayan Indians have a calendar and shows that it's going to come to an end. Now, these people claim, the ones in April, that they are counted back to Adam in the garden. And so therefore the 6,000 years that have passed, and that we're now living in the Sabbath, and that's whenever the world is going to come to an end, and they have counted in the scripture. The problem is they didn't interpret the scripture correctly, because Adam was not the first person on the face of the earth. The Bible teaches you, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. What God created, it was perfect. God had a populace on the face of the earth prior. Now, the scripture said that he sat on the circle of the earth, Isaiah, and what's the destruction of the earth? So Genesis 1 and 2, as I've stated many times here, that whenever the earth was without form and void, and darkness was over the face of the earth. And God, whenever he created Adam and Eve in the days of creation, he restored it back. He spoke, and the firmament came away from the earth, and the earth appeared. And there were trees, and there were vegetation, and then the animals and the birds. And then God created Adam out of the dust of the earth, out of the 96 base elements. Now, we know that today. Not only biblically, but scientifically we know that today. So there's no conflict between that, what science teaches and what the Bible teaches. But whenever God spoke to Adam and Eve, he gave them a command to multiply and replenish the earth. So whenever scientists come up with the base Hubble and said that 400 million years ago they're able to go back that far and that close to the Big Bang Theory. And my friend said, I don't believe in the Big Bang Theory. Well, read what the Bible said. There had to be a Big Bang, and you can theorize it all you want to, but I believe that it is a fact that you can separate from fiction, because my Bible said in the beginning, God said. You mean to tell me that when God speaks, there's not a Big Bang, there's not a big noise, whenever all of the matter that came out of nothing came into existence? Now, the scientists and the atheists, the naturalists, are arguing that there must have been something before the beginning. And I want to tell you about that today as we attempt to separate fact from fiction. John 17:4, John the 17th chapter, and the 4th verse. See, it's pretty well universally accepted that Jesus Christ was born. It's pretty well universally accepted by all of the major religions that Jesus was an exceptional prophet that had something to say.